When we think about engineering, we usually think about buildings or bridges, but today we're diving into something else entirely. We're talking about machines. Machines so enormous, they don't just work on the planet, they literally reshape it. These are the true monsters of the Earth. So, let's just start with a number. 14,200 metric tons. Take a second and really try to picture that. What on earth could a land vehicle that heavy even look like? And what could its job possibly be? Well, here it is. This is the Beggar 293. And just for a little bit of perspective, it weighs more than the Eiffel Tower, it's longer than 2 football fields end to end. By sheer mass, it is the biggest land vehicle humanity has ever built. And believe it or not, we're just getting started. So, first up, let's talk about the machines designed for one massive purpose: to move the Earth in quantities that are almost impossible to wrap your head around. These are the giants that dig. Okay, so let's get a proper introduction to our first monster. This is the Bagger 293, a bucket wheel excavator built in Germany back in 1995. You need a whole crew of 5 people just to run this thing. And the heart of the whole operation is that gigantic wheel, which is 70 feet across. That's about as tall as a 7-story building. Let's just run through the numbers here, because they're insane. Each one of its 18 buckets can scoop up 530 cubic feet of dirt at a time. So what does that all add up to? Well, in a single day, it can chew through 240,000 cubic meters of material. To put that in perspective, that's enough rock and soil to fill 96 Olympic-sized swimming pools every single day. Now, the Bagger is the absolute king of the open pit mine, no doubt. But not all digging is about just scraping away the surface. Sometimes you need a different kind of giant, one that trades that constant scooping for sheer, focused power. And that's where these beasts come in, the hydraulic mining shovels. Think of them as the heavyweight boxers of the mining world. 2 of the biggest are the Caterpillar 6090FS and the Leipzig R9800. These things are designed to fill up the world's biggest trucks in just a handful of bites. So here's the key difference, right? It's all about specialization. The Bagger, at 14,200 tons, is just in a league of its own for nonstop continuous digging. But the hydraulic shovels, they're all about targeted power. The Cat 6090 can literally fill a massive dump truck in a single scoop. And the Leverhare, it'll load up a 400-ton truck in just 4 or 5 passes. They're different tools for different parts of the same colossal job. Okay, so you've dug up a mountain's worth of earth. Now what? Well, you gotta move it. And that brings us to our next category of titans, the haulers and the pushers. When it comes to hauling that massive amount of material, there is one undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, and that is the Belaz 75710. Seriously, nothing else on the planet even comes close. To get a sense of its power, this truck has not 1, but 2 huge diesel engines. Together, they generate 4,600 horsepower. That is more raw power than 4 Formula One cars combined. And it needs every bit of it to haul its maximum payload, an absolutely mind-boggling 450 metric tons in one trip. But, not everything needs to be lifted and carried. Sometimes you just need to push it. And for that job, you call in the Komatsu D575A, better known as the Super Dozer. It's the biggest bulldozer in the world, and its whole reason for being is to use its 24-foot wide blade to just shove anything and everything out of its way. So, we've seen brute force and massive power, but what about when your cargo is, well, priceless? What about when you have to move something not just big, but incredibly fragile and important? What about moving our dreams to the stars? Meet the NASA Crawler Transporter. Get this, its top speed, when it's carrying a rocket, is 1 mile per hour. And that incredibly slow pace, that's a feature, not a bug. It's designed to keep its precious cargo perfectly, absolutely level. This machine has carried every single American crewed rocket, from the Apollo missions all the way to today's Artemis program. And it does it by burning an unbelievable 150 gallons of fuel for every mile it travels. All right, so we've covered digging up the earth and moving it around, but now let's look at machines that go a step further. These don't just change the landscape, they create entirely new worlds, both on top of the ocean and deep down below our feet. This is the Prelude FLNG, and it's really important to know that this isn't a ship, it's a floating natural gas facility. It is, by far, the largest floating structure humans have ever built. It displaces 6 times more water than a Nimitz-class aircraft carrier. It's not a boat, it's literally a floating industrial city. So what does it do? Well, it parks itself over a gas field off the coast of Australia for years at a time. It pulls natural gas up from the seafloor, supercools it until it becomes a liquid, stores it in giant tanks, and then pumps it directly onto passing tankers. And it's built to do all of this even while getting hammered by cyclones. It's just incredible. From the wild surface of the ocean, we're now going to go deep underground. I'm talking about tunnel boring machines, or TBMs. They're basically giant, mechanical earthworms that grind through rock and dirt to create subway tunnels and highways. And one of the most famous TBMs has a pretty dramatic story. This is the story of Big Bertha, named after Seattle's first female mayor. At the time, she was the biggest TBM on the planet. But just a few months into her 2-mile journey under Seattle, she hit a steel pipe and just stopped. The whole project ground to a halt. It took 2 full years and digging a massive 120-foot-deep rescue pit just to get in there and fix her. After massive delays and cost overruns, she finally broke through and finished the jog in 2017. Okay, for our last category, let's look at something a little different. We're talking about machines that were built for a very specific, singular purpose. They're one-of-a-kind giants that bring this whole idea of massive scale down to a, well, slightly more relatable level. Everybody meet Big Bud 747. Now, unlike everything else we've looked at, Big Bud doesn't live in a mine or on some billion-dollar construction site. It's a farm tractor. It was custom-built way back in 1977. Its 1,100 horsepower engine and 8-foot-tall tires make it the most powerful farm tractor in the world, designed to pull massive plows across the endless fields of America. And the thing I love most about Big Bud's story is how human it is. After decades of hard work, it could have been sold for scrap. But instead, 2 brothers, farmers in Montana, bought it. They painstakingly restored it, and they put it right back to work on their farm where it runs to this day. It's a giant with a real history, a huge contrast to all these corporate machines. So when you look at all of these, from the Bagger 293 literally changing the geography of Germany to the NASA crawler carrying our hopes to the stars, it's clear these things are so much more than just tools. They're physical, tangible manifestations of human ambition. They are the things we build to make our biggest, craziest ideas a reality. And really, that leaves us with one big question. All these machines were built to solve the big challenges of their time. So as our own challenges get more complex and our ambitions get even bigger, you have to wonder, right? What problems will the next generation of giants be built to solve? And just how big will we have to build them?